Okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, Lesson Known Classics. This is episode number 2882, Doubleshot number 2776. All Superman stuff here. We have Avengers Superman 548 to 556. Action Comics 535 to 543. Superman, Volume 2, issues 126 to, I think it's like 133. Man of Steel, Superman of Steel, issues 70 through 78. Superman of Tomorrow, issue numbers 9 and 10. And a one-shot. It's Superman Blue. I'll get to that. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Let's start with the more smaller storylines. There's a storyline with Ron Turpin and Lois' sister, where they're dating, and they meet Ron's sister, who gives him a look. The fact that, like, why are you dating a white girl? Yes, by the way, this is published in the 1990s, and well, apparently because their parents grew up in the whole race riot stuff, like back in the 60s, she doesn't like the fact that he's dating Lois' sister. And then she meets the publisher, Franklin Stern, and then they start dating. Now here's the thing: he's old enough to be her father, and the reason why she's there is to remind Ron, don't forget about the parents' anniversary, don't forget about the present, and like. Here's the thing: no one on the planet has a problem with the fact that Ron is dating Lois' sister. No one has a problem with it, except for his sister, all because she's white. That's it. It's a bizarre story. It doesn't go anywhere at all. Jimmy's whole thing in here is that his mouth gets away from him at times, where he is about to reveal Superman's identity, and then he decides to simply just not do it. It's a minor thing with him. There's a storyline with Scorn and Dirk Armstrong, where Scorn has a thing where he's around. He helps the MCU, the science, that helps out the Metropolis Science Division, the cops, like, he helps them out. And there's also a point where there's stuff going with Superman, where it's like action on the docks, and Dirk decides to hitch a ride in the cab with, of course, I think with Ron, I think it was, where that the reason why he did this because he wanted to give a lecture to Scorn for basically hanging around his daughter, and then his daughter basically gets upset with him over trying to break them up because she was in love with Scorn. Perry doesn't get a lot to do in these issues. Not really. Yeah, Perry does virtually nothing. Yeah, throughout these whole issues, Perry does jack frickin' squat. He appears, he has no plot to go on here. In the case of Lex, well, his whole thing is that, well, there's stuff related with him in the Return of the Superman Bench Squad, where he's tried for being associated with them, and then they bring in supposedly the real Lex Luthor, where he is just a deranged old man who just looks like Lex. And then the charges are dropped, and Lex makes his lawyer, this is a clone body, but the brain is the original brain. And also there's a thing here with his wife, the Contessa, where she is pregnant with his child, and he still doesn't like the fact that she's control of his company, so he arranges, and then basically, then all of a sudden he gets angry at the fact that Intergang attacks his own workers. Yes, there's a whole issue where there is him attacking Intergang. He actually kills one of them with his bare hands. I'm like, what? He basically beats up Intergang. It's like the writer basically wanted to make Lex as a badass. And then only after this, we have his wife giving birth. And he is not there for it. Because he wants to be in a particular area so he can have an alibi for his assassination attempt. Because, you see, the mayor of Metropolis is murdered in the same issue. This issue 131 of Superman. And then, of course, his wife gives birth. And then immediately after she gives birth, she's put into a coma. The doctor is ordered to sedate her into a coma because Lex wants his company back. So, and then he vows that his wife would never hold their daughter. Never. All because he wants the attention of his daughter. He does not want to share the whole attention thing. And then eventually gets the company back while she's unconscious. And then the Lazarus clinic where she's into has nothing to do with Lazarus, but it just called it. And then the place burns down, and then she disappears, and she's not sitting here for quite a while. And like you have him basically just reading. Like first he's put it like for a nap, but they're not like in a playpen. And eventually they go to a nursery. The nurse go home at that point. Like there's also several points where Lex is accused a lot of stuff that probably is true, and Lex just writes it off like you have no evidence. Despite the fact they kind of do. Yeah, it's like the writers of the Superman comics are taking a lot of inspiration from the Superman animated series. It's either that they take some ideas from that, or they're basically copy each other. I'm not sure. So, yeah, at one point you have Superman show up to his office with the Legion of Superheroes. Mind you, these are the post-Zero version of them. They show up and they want to like do something, and then eventually they leave. They're only around for like an issue, and of course they reference the events of there's a crossover I'll discuss in a minute, and like a couple issues of their own book. And that's it for Lex. Lois, her whole thing in this book is that she took classes for archaeology at the local university. She goes to an expedition, and apparently her father is not happy about him for her doing that. So he's like, "Come on, Clark, let's go rescue her." While she's on an expedition. And there's this whole thing of like trying to bond between the two of them. It's very interesting to say the least. I'm surprised Sam got anything to do with these issues. Yes, as for Superman himself, well, he gets a lot of weird stuff. Like there's another Superman squad comprised which had the Parasite, who's freaking huge, and Superman uses his new powers to drain him all of his energy. He gets sent away. So, before I continue here, those of you curious, Superman Manitoba number 9, all that is a history of all the Superman costumes from post-crisis up until this very point. That's really all it is. It's a bridge retelling of that, and intended as part of the major storyline with this one. And so, then, like, he deals with, like, stuff like Scorn, and then, like, during the events of Genesis, yes, it's a really bizarre story this is, where he is tasked by Highfather, like, okay, there's like this, let's see if I can find it here. It's the Genesis issues. It's an event I'll discuss at my point. It's written and drawn by John Byrne in the miniseries. For the Superman issues, it is a little bit of his book. If you're really curious, like, it takes up, of the Superman titles, it takes up just Superman 128 and Man of Steel 72. So, Superman is tasked by, like, we need to go on this special mission, and, like, you can't just send, he has a particular person for that, so he volunteers himself. The missions go to the Source Wall, because somebody's going to the Source Wall, and he goes as one particular to be attacked by the Source Wall, and he goes inside and runs into the Cyborg, aka Hank Henshaw, which I believe this is the first time he had seen him since the Trial of the Superman arc. Yeah, he fights him for these couple issues and comes back later on. It relates to a particular, very special one-shot. There's a cameo in this storyline. We see a red suited Superman for a brief couple panels prior to what goes on in the one-shot Superman Blue / Superman Red. this starts the next stage of the storyline, where the cyborg teams up with Toyman to kidnap Lois, to draw out Superman. He's put into the container, and then he's split into two. We have a blue Superman, and we have a red Superman. Which the red Superman suit is simply the same suit as the blue one, except it's red on the opposite blue. And they kind of did their own thing for a while, and the between two of them that look exactly alike is that the blue Superman, we use the Clark Kent attire. He has a blue tie. The red one's got a red tie. So they go over the place, and they claim Superman's here, and then eventually meet. They get into a couple fights. Lois is like, I don't like this at all. You two sleep on the couch. And then they go to the Fortress of Solitude in the Man of Tomorrow number 10, where the traffic was going. And then all of a sudden, Obsession shows up. Yes, Obsession. Where she kisses one of them. And then Maxima shows up. Yes, Maxima. And then we have two women fight over Superman. Which is also with Maxima, who had just accepted Justice League in Justice League America issue 66. She had just been accepted, and then she's gone rogue. Superman just incapacitates her and takes the Bell Rev for some reason. I don't know why, but it's weird. Yep. The story continues for a little bit, even afterwards. Yeah, I was originally going to stop with the main books. I was going to stop with Superman. I was going to stop with, like, 129. Excuse me, was 129? It was, yeah, it was, I was going to stop was going to be, 131. Basically, I went to that one because basically the storyline continues there. So, basically, the plan is to find a way to merge everything together. And there's a good reason, and there's also a good reason why I stopped with Superman 77, with Superman Steel 77, Avengers Superman 556, Action was 543, and there was one Super, I think it was like 132, I think it was. Yes. Now, the reason why I stopped there was because basically what happens next? A crossover known as Behold the Millennium Giants. Yep, that is what's next. Now, those of you curious though, do we still have the same writers for all these books? Yes. Louis Simonson does, well, Man of Steel, Superman of Steel. Man of Tomorrow still done by Roger Stern. I believe Axe Comics is done by Stuart Imden, who occasionally also has some artwork too. Yes. Avengers Superman. I believe this one is this is Carl and Barbara Ketzel. Superman is done by Dan Jurgens. Yes, he's the primary writer of this book. What's done with reference to the artwork. And that's pretty much it to discuss here. A lot of really good stuff here. I thoroughly enjoy these issues. Now, when I come back to these books, I will cap off the Superman Blue Saga. Yep. Because I believe that's probably when they will officially, I think, getting close to wrapping up at that point. There is a point when they do wrap the story up. Because there's also going to be a bunch to discuss here. Which we may probably discuss another time, but yeah. So when I come back, the whole blue stuff will be officially finished, and then basically I will discuss what happens next. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, to say the least. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly it. Particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do the click button. By the way, I got this book's 10 out of 10 because I love the storyline. Yeah, for some reason, I've heard some people were not fans of the Superman Blue Saga. And the weird thing is, the trade said, oh yeah, this will be the first of 4 trades. and yet they released one. Maybe because the first raid didn't sell very well. That's probably the reason why for it. So, next up, Image. This is going to be interesting. Okay? Next view. Bye.